Hey everyone, this is the Notebooks working group meeting for the 15th of January 2026. So we cover things like Notebooks 2.0, 1.0, and the dashboard. And the dashboard, interestingly, includes everything in the dashboard repo, mainly profile controller and the auth stuff. And so that's what this meeting's about. So if you have topics in the future and you want to talk about them, come to this meeting. Happens on Thursdays, Pacific time, 8 a.m. Lots of interesting things. Okay, so as usual, because the main thing we're working on and shipping soon is Notebooks 2.0, I just always want to push people towards not the first issue, but one of the issues which kind of tries to overview what the heck we're doing. It's a full rewrite of Notebooks. It is happening in the Kubeflow/Notebooks repo under the Notebooks v2 branch. There is three major components: a Golang kubebuilder based controller, a Golang based backend, which is REST API, which is what the user calls. What the front end doesn't do any interactions with Kubernetes; it only interacts with the backend, and also this can decouple it so we could build other interfaces in the future. And so if you have experience in any of these areas, we would always love you to help out. Please come to these meetings. If you can't come to the meetings, there's a Kubeflow-Notebooks Slack channel in the CNCF Slack. You can join it by going to, again, this issue 85, or you can just go to the website directly and find it. And so we'd love, and preferably if you just introduce yourself, what you have experience in, and yeah, that's good. The next thing is we always want to now call out the ability to run Notebooks 2.0 locally. This is not for end users yet, but it's going to get better very soon as well. There's a couple more things we're adding, but this is where I just want people to start when they're like, hey, Notebooks 2.0 right now, before it's shipped, this is the place you need to go under the development guide of the V2 branch. So this is because if you want to contribute, you're going to need to be able to use this. So, and also it's great for testing for us if you have problems or other things. It effectively should be one command on any machine. So that's the goal. Awesome, we've got some feedback that it works really well in the chat. That's good. You can say it on the call, Chris. You don't know, I'm not going to force it to. Yeah. Okay, he was just saying he tested it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the thing is that I tested it and it worked quite well. Even though, yeah, so far there's not so much to do yet in the UI.
Yep, but that's the first step. And also we're going to add Istio support in the next few days, I think, which will make it more correct to actually develop with, auth and things like that. So technically we won't include authentication. We will only include authorization. So what I mean by that is we're not going to include DEX and OAuth to proxy and stuff. We're just going to have a debug menu in the UI which lets you inject yourself as a particular user, and this should hopefully help all the front end people not have to figure out some complex stuff. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. Anyone else got anything about the development guide or things that they've run into here? Okay. Cool. Any new people who want to say hi? We always have a chance for people to say hi in the chat. I think there's a couple of new faces. Feel free to raise your hand or not. Okay, cool. Notebooks adopters. If you're a user of Notebooks or Kubeflow overall, please go to the adopters files and add your company. We'll probably push that a bit harder once we've got the V2 release. Okay, so yeah, we do need to think about this. I'm going to skip over it for now, but we do need to think about what we're going to do with the Kubeflow repo now that it doesn't have any code living in it. So I don't know if anyone had any more feelings since the last time we had this discussion around whether we should do leave the final release as that, or whether we should make a releases have moved fake release, or whether we should just make a cal version release when we do that. Whenever the overall project releases one, that it just still represents the major releases of Kubeflow overall. I guess that's the debate. If anyone has any feelings, write your war and peace somewhere, or maybe say it now if you want to pick.
Should we just bring this to the community call to try to close on it, Matthew? Next week?
I mean, we could. I feel like we need to finalize the fact that we're using the Cal version first, probably, but then which I think is going to happen next week. And so like once we've done, I'm more saying I don't really know about. I don't want this to get confused with that. You know what I mean? Like I
That's
just
fair.
there's too much. There'll be too many changes all at once otherwise. But from our perspective, if anyone has any feelings, just yell and we can
Did
kind
you
of
start it already in the steering committee, Matthew?
that's next month, I think. I think technically you start the terms start in February, but I have to check. So, but that's not a steering committee situation. I mean, the versioning would be, but not this. This is just a.
No, I mean the versioning for everything. Yeah.
So I think we all agreed in the meeting anyway. We were just like, it's
Yep.
it's obviously the right thing to do. There was no significant pushback. The only debate is around how frequently we release, not and the rules under which we release, not like. So I think the proposal was we do one every major KubeCon NA/EU, meaning we do 2 a year, around 03 and 09 or 10. So, and that means we get 2 really good release windows for features and announcements, and then anything can break between these major versions when this is a major version now, 26.0 something. And then the dot, and now this was the last part we didn't finalize, which if anyone has any ideas, is it .01 or is it patch 1 or something like patch .0, you know what I mean? Like, I think that looks nicest, but you know what I mean? But this is the last part, because we will need to release for a period of time patches. And I think .1 and .0 look a bit confusing, I think. So, okay, cool. If anyone's got any feelings or additional thoughts, let's keep going. Oh, we do need to merge this PR as well. Actually, I need to get back to this. Okay. Dashboard. Let's just quickly go through the dashboard. So we have 3 components we do. I don't want to spend too much time on dashboard, but I just want to bring it up so that we remember. What was the status, Andy, you were saying?
Yeah, not a lot of movement. There's a community member, Alok, who's volunteered to start to look at some of the manifest changes. So I opened up, I guess I can include this. Give me 1 second to find the link. I'll put it in chat. Kubeflow dashboard issues 180. So this is kind of the first, where's chat?
We don't need to go into specific issues, but so
yeah. So anyway, so we're look at least right now carving out getting just the manifest updates done. We'll see how that goes and then progress to the other things that we discussed.
So we need to have a version that's available from the new repo before the new KubeCon EU version gets cut. That's a minimum, right? Obviously, anything else that is a bonus. So I guess what else do we need to have done to get to that point? So we need. So I think we had. I don't know if we added. Have we added owners labels already?
No, I don't.
Yeah, no, we haven't for the sections. We should do this. This is a good idea, I think. It helps making PRs. That's a very basic one. The migration guide definitely is important. I think we had some proposals there around that. But I think this will need to change once we do the manifest change a little bit.
Yes.
Not a lot, just a little
right.
bit.
Agreed.
If we're so this will come after this other part, but we might end up moving some of these manifests into here, I guess. It just depends. But either way, what will happen is we're definitely going to refactor the manifests in here as we're just talking about, and then sync them into the manifest repo again. Because right now, this is a little bit in the weeds, but I do want to just quickly show you people what it means. It's very abstract otherwise. There is applications folder in the manifest repo. These are meant to be the exact copy of the repo, upstream repos application manifests. Right now, we're kind of grouping them a bit haphazardly. We're going to go back to what we were doing originally, which is grouping them by repository. Well, what we were doing originally for pipelines and others. So things like admission webhook, central dashboard, profile, and I think that's it. We'll end up under a folder called dashboard. And then for notebooks v1, there'll be one called notebooks, which has Jupyter, which includes right now actually 2 already, which is a bit confusing. And so hopefully it will help people understand that these are the components. We should probably rename this to components, actually, now that I think about it. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Although changing names in these paths can cause problems. So, okay. So, and also tensor boards and volumes web app will also end up under notebooks, which means that if we want those features and PVC viewer controller, so if we want those features in V2, we're going to need to rebuild them in V2. I just want to highlight that for everyone, right? We're not going to take any of that code with us into V2 land. So, I mean, we can debate about volumes, but anyone have any feelings? But anyway, so for dashboard, our goal is to get it so that we delete all these folders that are for the dashboard, make a new folder called dashboard, and sync them in with one sub upstream folder for each of these sections here, except the Angular rewrite, obviously. So any other comments here around things that people want to get in before the 2603 release? Because we're going to need to get these things done kind of rapidly. We don't need to do a lot of work, but we need to just get them in so that people start using them. So have we got image building? I'd forget if we have image building.
Everything is there. It's just like, yeah, so everything is there.
Even the publishing stuff?
Yes.
Yep. Cool. And as you can see those on the side, it looks like. Yeah. Great. Oh, people are downloading it. Interesting. Okay. That's weird. Okay, cool. So let's keep going. Any more dashboard stuff? No, V1. If not, just type it in the chat. Okay. Notebooks V1. So what is the status here? I think someone was working on it.
There are a bunch of PRs open. I've started to run through them. There's inherently, some of these are just like 4 or 5 years worth of dependencies biting off at a time. So I'm being kind of very studious going sequentially. I have 3 PRs ready to merge, Matthew. If we have time this afternoon, we'll get those in. And then, because I'm kind of breaking it down at the controller level, PVC tensor board notebook, we'll get one batch of their updates merged, and then I'll go grab another one. I think there's only like 8 to 12 of these PRs total. There's a community contributor looking at some web app stuff. But I didn't like the approach that they took, so I followed up with them, telling them I think a better way to handle this. And I'm waiting for them to hear back. So I'll keep getting things ready. So, every Thursday we'll have stuff merged, hoping in the next like 2-3 weeks, assuming people are responsive on their PRs, this will all be done.
And so, so I guess the goal here is we do need to figure out what our plan for V1 is. And I think also I need to put a thing in here, which is like future of volumes, web app, PVC viewer. In my mind, PVC viewer is actually just a specific case of the of a workspace kind. So it really feels natural to just do that. But that's a separate discussion. So because those again are part of V1 and have too much code dependency on V1 stuff, so they'll have to be dropped with V1 when V1 end of life. That's kind of what I'm saying. So we need to replace their features if we think they're important. Okay, so
yeah, we don't need to get into it now, but I personally question the usefulness of PVC viewer.
Oh yeah, I think this is just causes more problems than it helps personally.
Yes. And like if you're using a notebook, you can like through cells in a terminal like see what's mounted in that PVC. So it's
also
like,
because Notebooks V2 supports having multiple IDEs in the same container with multiple ports, the actual code that runs the PVC viewer could just be added as an optional sidecar on certain images. I guess this does raise an interesting question where I just honestly, sorry for derailing, I was thinking like actually maybe this means that the images should actually be a tick box rather than a option. You know what I mean on V2, like.
yeah, I don't
know what I mean,
how
right? Like this is like I worry that it's fine either way, but like I'm just saying that's an interesting thought, right? That okay, well, I'll put that down here just to think about. Under this section probably. Could the image config be an array or a array allowing multiple images to be selected? Okay, cool. We'll see. Okay. Let's keep going. So V1, any other things here? So our goal again is we do need to help people understand the state of the project before the release, and we need to have this kind of really nailed out, I think, earlier than we even are releasing anything. That's why it's the top on this list. So, okay, like I just want to say that we need to figure that out. Like we need to put it on the website. We need to put it on the repo. We need to be blasting it, being like, hey, this is going to happen. Here's the end of life procedure. We're all going to V2. If things change, sure, but in the short term, this is the plan. We need to cut this final patch. So at what point are we going to cut the patch? Sorry, non-patch version, V11, 1.11. So do we know, Andy, when we'll be ready?
Yeah, I mean, it's once we get through all of these CVEs, I'd say we go then. As we discussed, there's like quality of life stuff we could do, but since we're trying to kind of like deprecate this repo, like refactoring GitHub workflows and stuff just doesn't make a lot of sense. And so we get these CVEs in, then in my mind, we're done.
Yeah, I guess the question of the workflows though is it easier, and since we will be dealing with this for a whole year, is it easier to just take the reference workflow and just copy and paste it, into here from V2 branch? Because it's not.
I guess in my mind, it's more work to do that doesn't, V1 stuff works. It was set up that way for years in Kubeflow. So I guess I don't really see a return of investment on doing that.
The only benefit in my mind is it's less likely to fail. It has attestations and things like that. Like it's just that's my only kind of, but yeah, it's more like, I think it actually really isn't a lot of work. It's one of those things where a new contributor could do it. It's kind of what I'm also thinking.
Yeah, but it's V1 and you are quite literally the only person that can approve right now because I still don't have it and Kamonis is gone. So, I mean, I don't know if he's gone or not, but he hasn't been around. So it's like any PR that requires merge in my mind, we should avoid because it's a severe bottleneck. And us having to eat Thursday time to get work done with these V1 things is problematic. I don't want to spend 30 extra minutes if that 30 minutes can go towards getting V2 code in. And again, just my opinion, right? So please, people can violently disagree with me, but that's kind of where my mentality
I mean,
is.
there's another way to fix that, right? Which is, I agree. I want to push people towards V2. It's an interesting question, right? We'll see if we end up blocked. That's probably the best question. If we end up with something that isn't solvable without doing that, then we'll do that. Probably the good idea. Okay, cool. So CVE work, branch health stuff. Oh yes, we do need to do that as well. Like adding a contributing guide, which links back to V1. No, this is V2. This is dashboard, in fact. Okay, so yeah, there's a couple more repo health things we should do as well. Okay, so to get to that. Oh, yes, we do need to think about these notebook example images. That is one thing we will need to do, actually.
So yeah, and this one, again, we don't need to get into the weeds on this call, right? But I think in discussing in the past, Matthew, it's like this kind of almost has to fall on you. It's wildly time intensive and we'll need it by like this 2603 release. So I don't know. I can help you in any way possible, but by the end of this month, we probably at least need to have a plan with your, kind of limited time. It's not fair to put it on you, but
no, it's fine. We do it. What I usually do is just before the release anyway. And also,
okay.
Honestly, maybe we should do this one as like, sometimes it just takes forever, but I wonder if we should do it as like a workshop as well. It's not clear though, because it ends up being so many hours of just fighting these
and like build and just like waiting for CUDA libraries to download. You know what I mean? Like I hear you, but there's a lot of inherent like just like thumb twiddling time in the process as well, which sucks.
Yeah, so I mean, this last one I have to do, but we need to also do the same thing for V2 in a more reliable way anyway. So like, it's like, I'm not saying we should do it for this. I'm just like this. Yeah, we'll see. But with this, so this V1 branch will still have notebooks for now because it was part of V1. So, but V2 will probably have a new repo or a new branch for notebook images. So like this is kind of a, that's a debate, I guess. But because the goal of that should be for people to be able to fork it and make their own automatic building structures based off ours. That's kind of my hope, because otherwise everyone's constantly reinventing the wheel literally every single time by making their own repo that builds with dependencies of Python versions or whatever they're doing. And also we want to enforce sane labeling structures now since we've got labels for images and things like that. Okay, so that's fine. Yep. Christian, you're very welcome to do things. There might be V2 things though that might be more valuable for you to do, but yes, if you want to just do a quick thing there, that's easy. Okay. For repo health stuff, he was saying you can help with this part down here. Okay, anyone else got any V1 stuff? We're progressing, no one's blocked. Okay. Notebooks V2. Okay, the main part. Okay, so the goal, we do need to do this. This is definitely, it's actually the same as the other goal really, to some extent, but this was the tentative plan, but we can quickly talk about it now, I guess, just before we go to the actual specifics of what's happening. The goal should be to have the default version of notebooks in 2603 be still V1. There should be an alpha version which can do the MVP stuff that is not included by default when you deploy the manifest. Well, then you deploy the manifest, but will be optionally available. It will just be the snapshot of whatever the thing is at the time we release. It won't be. We should put a warning on the UI, you know. And then the intention would be that in the NA release, or like for 26010, sorry, 110, 10, what? We have V1 be not included by default, and it gets only security patches through that release. And then EOL in 2703. I think that's quite a long time. Obviously, that's a year, but it gives anyone feeling worried about that or other thoughts.
I mean, I feel like, just in terms of thoughts, it's been, I've been involved in the community for almost a year now, and we haven't, in terms of releasing, haven't kind of like significantly put out anything notebooks wise. So I don't think it's problematic. Like, I'm okay with the timeline as proposed.
Is there any reason we might accelerate it or delay it? That's kind of what I'm thinking, I don't think we can do it faster than this, but
right. I mean, it really depends on, if we had more of these Calver releases, but I do think we need a minimum of 3 Calver releases to like responsibly do this, right? I think like these are the minimal steps, and if our releases only come twice a year, then this is kind of what we're stuck with, right? But I think that, the way we progress between GA or 1.0 and 2.0, I think these are the minimum like steps or transitions. And so then if we only have 2 releases a year, this is what we're left with.
I just realized, yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Let's, I don't know what was going here. Okay, cool. Let's keep going then. Okay, so what's the status on the overall stuff? So the goal. These are just notes around stuff. So okay, do you have any, so we could start with just going down the priorities, or has anyone else got anything they want to go through? Okay. So the primary goal again is to get a release that is alpha, and we can define what that means down here later for the 2603 release of Kubeflow. So that means we should, well, obviously there's some definitions here about what it means, like there's no guarantees about anything, but it will mean that hopefully people can use the tool and experience the ideas that we're showing off, even if they can't use it in production. So the things to get to that, the first one is being able to deploy it. So we're mostly there. And the main, so as soon as we can actually get something working, I think we did say that we should cut some alpha releases, but do we agree that that should just happen as soon as possible, or like once we have fully deployed manifest, should we just start cutting alpha releases?
I think getting the end-to-end test, I think that's like the last thing, which we're close. I just need to revisit. Hopefully by next week, I'll have that EDE basic PR that we talked about, Matthew, in place. I think from that's where the alpha comes from, because then we can at least reasonably say it has been tested. Yes, the thoroughness of the testing isn't where we want it to be, but I feel like in good faith, we can say we feel like this works because we have at least a minimal, it stands up and we can see stuff running.
So the only obviously concern is that it just means that we'll have to cherry pick a lot of commits into the release branch because I will have to cut a 2.0 release branch. That's my only kind of little
Yeah,
bit
I
of
guess,
worry.
yeah, that's, yeah.
Um, it's fine. The question is just, I really do, I do want to pipe clean it so that we know that we can release. That's kind of my only like concern otherwise, right? If until we've done it end to end once, it's very hard to know that because we're not going to have a lot of time. We've got a couple months, you know what I mean? Like 2 months, right? So we really need to do it. I think the answer is that we have to do it as
I
soon as
think we
possible.
need to do it, and we can just set aside some time on Thursdays to do the cherry pick. But I agree, it's like we need to make sure this is good. So we have plenty of other things that require work. We don't want this to surprise us at the 11th hour. So yep, that's fine.
It also means that people can start testing, and also we can be prescriptive about. I think we probably need to have a policy though that we cherry pick everything initially, even if it breaks it. But like,
Yes, just to keep it easy and yeah.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So coming to that, what are the things that we need to do to get this? I think we talked about the development guide, which I know is related to this. I know that we have the deployment guide for vendors soon, which what was blocking that? I'm trying to remember.
It's there. I actually have to revisit. I might need to make trivial updates after we got all of the customized stuff done. But I mean, it's right. I'll by next week I'll make sure I get that cleaned back up. But it's there. Just some of the technical steps now that all the customized stuff is in. I need to make sure it's still accurate.
And yeah,
But
so this what we're talking about here is that we need to get it into either a wiki or a file or somewhere, probably a wiki on the main repo, which is like, I'm a vendor. I want to make a version of Kubeflow notebooks, either a vendor in my company as a provider of a platform, or I'm a big company, and I want to vendor in notebooks as a piece of my platform in some form. This explains the components of it, how you deploy it on a clean cluster, how you replace certain components like auth and dashboard. It starts by using the dashboard upstream open source version as a reference, but that's important. What else was there? Oh, we should add this warning banner. Actually, that is pretty important. Actually, okay, and then E2E tests is the next one after that. So I guess we do need to probably prioritize this task. Just add some warning banners. Yes. Okay. Cool. Priority 1. Anything else? We can go down. Yeah, we do. Okay, this actually is part of this release. This is actually really why the alpha needs this, unfortunately. I guess the alpha doesn't need this. We could use V1's ones, but that sounds a little bit messy. You know what I mean? Like but I do also think we could benefit the community a lot by thinking about this a bit, and thinking about how we do this and make it a forever situation.
yeah, I guess I don't quite understand. I mean, it's not great, right? But like fundamentally with notebooks too, you're just telling people to put your image configs in their workspace kinds, and we want these representative images out there. So I know from like a beautiful user experience end to end in the Kubeflow ecosystem, this is important. But like I view this as almost completely decoupled from a Notebooks 2.0 getting a release out. Like where you get your images from, whether it's our legacy repo, some new shiny repo, or your own internal registry, why does that factor into our desire to get a release out initially?
So it just depends on if we include default. We need default workspace kinds. It's a matter of just where should they live and what images should they include, and if they're generated automatically. So like we have reference workspace kinds we use for our testing and things like that, but those are fine. But we need to have one for VS Code, one for RStudio, one for whatever else, like, and at least. And so we're going to need to maintain those as examples and build images for them. And right now, we don't want to have to cut V1 releases to use those to create those. So that's.
But yeah, so I mean, that, like it's philosophical, right? But in my mind, the value add here is teaching people how to use workspace kinds. I get that, but then like where the image is loaded from and what version of dependencies are in those images, in my mind, is not the value add. So like just saying, here's your VS Code workspace kind, and oh yeah, by the way, this is pointing to a 4-year-old image of VS Code. I don't like the value is here's how to configure, here's inspiration on how to configure your workspace kind. But anyways, we probably talked about this too much, but
Yeah. I mean,
I would just
anyway,
hate that we like invest like a month of effort into this, where in my mind it's how do you use workspace kinds? That's what we need to communicate and get across, not
well, no,
these images.
it's also encouraging people to. So there's one other factor as well that people might be forgetting, which is that there is a non-zero chance that we're going to need images of a specific kind in the future. So like that, there might not be support for any. You might have to install something in the future, like in the base, for it to work properly. There's a chance. But either way, even if that's not the case, I still don't want to be releasing a V1 release to update the default PyTorch version when we could just even if we just copy and paste the current notebook mesh, like notebook image thing into a new repo. I don't necessarily want to do that, but we could. Or a new branch. That's I guess that's the first debate. It's just, is it a new branch? Is it a new that makes yeah, I don't know. Anyway, but that in my mind is part of the release. That's part of the alpha. We need to have the three, at least the same three as currently exist, workspace kinds. And so I can manually write them, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. And anything we build though might be useful for everyone else. Okay, let's keep going. Okay. Oh yeah, we need to do that once that happens. That's a separate one. Okay, now this is outcomes for making sure that this is kind of like the core use of Notebooks 2.0 is to spawn a notebook, use it, connect to it, and that it's not the workspace kinds themselves, so the admin pages. So this is about saying, can I at least spawn a notebook, connect to it, and do some basic work, and then pause it, and then update it to a different kind of notebook image or a notebook config. These kind of things are the core functionality people are going to test in that alpha when we first ship it. So these are the ones that absolutely have to be done. Of course, the bottom part is a dependency of that too. But this is the first part. So what is our status here? So I know that we've had some work on icons, logos, and we haven't done the volumes stub yet, but secrets and things. So what's happening here?
Icons and logos, I just rebased the backend PR because we had like a bunch of changes that came in December. So that is working. I verified through Tilt that that's all end to end. So I'm hoping this is one of the things we can look at today, Matthew. Charles, keep me honest on secrets. Granted, the backend is only stubbed. I'm hoping through a lot of the concepts we're exposing in this logos and icons are on partial caches and things of that nature. Getting this PR merged will then give us a good kind of framework to get the secret stuff in, because these partial cast concepts are equally relevant when we go to actually implement the secrets work. But the front end work, I think Charles had, I think there was like one bug that they were getting fixed, but front end stuff is all there now for secrets. Charles, I'll pause because I don't want to steal any other thunder from you.
Yeah, so most of the secrets front end has been merged. I found one bug today, like Andy said, yesterday, and was working on it. But the MVP for secrets on the front end at least is completed, I would say. And still the API is stopped, but I think getting the logos and icons in will be the next step, since I also have the front end work for that as well and for review.
Excellent. Thank you. And then with the create workspace item, Matthew, we did get the disable culling. That is done in backend and front end. So that first sub bullet point under create workspace, we can line item out. And then removability to set pod labels in the backend, that still is open. I'll make sure to get a GitHub issue created on that. Worst case by early next week. Update workspace, stub is there, and we can probably be good about looking at implementation of that. And then, yeah, apply redirects is really more so going to just be a front end exercise. So I'll work with Charles and Paulo to figure out, that can kind of come in whenever we have cycles for it. So logs, events, nothing going there. But then, as we said, I have one of the contributors going to look into adding Istio in Tilt. I got an issue written up, and then the community member assigned themselves to it. That was yesterday. I'll update some links in priority 2 with things that I've created after this call.
For Istio, isn't that like technically the 3 one?
Yeah, so it's really like the tilt stuff though. So I view like Istio and tilt is important to like add like build features in priority 2 to make sure everything's working. But yeah,
So also the culling thing we did obviously is not necessarily in this, but what I'm no, sorry, like activity probe thing. But then the other side, which was similar to that in design, was like was it ACL rules or something? Like, was that?
yeah, so I mean, yes, we had like compatibility selectors, but there's like a more general abstracted feature. I think we were calling like from the rules concept, ACL rules is what we were.
So this is actually still connected to this though, because the front end just needs to know that this is going to happen, you know? So like
Yeah,
that.
so that's I have an issue, and that's actually been assigned to someone. They still haven't gotten back to me. But I'll make sure that it's
The stub, we merged the stub that did we merge the stub? Not stub, it just did we merge the thing that has the options under the thing yet, or was that only a design?
no, that's yeah. So that's like we have the design for that, and there's a GitHub issue open for it, but the developer hasn't gotten back to me yet. So we'll see. By next week, I'll look to reassign that if I still don't.
So I guess it is under update. Backend stub, I think that actually was already merged, right? Yeah.
Yes.
And then so we do need to insert wait, so we have a design. We have a new flow for the front end to get the option values which are valid.
I think that's probably more relevant under the create workspace flow, but
oh, it's update and create. I mean, it's both, I guess, but this get merged? No, probably not. Okay.
yes. No, that's what I was saying. Yes, that's merged.
That one's closed actually, but okay. Oh, we split it. We split it into.
It's split, yeah. So, but yeah, the functionality has been merged. Front end and back end, like it's gone.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah.
We know the controller also needs to remove, but yeah.
No, it's like sorry, yeah. By back end, I meant back end and controller, so it is completely gone.
Okay, cool. We should probably make sure that was done. Okay. We've got that tracked somewhere else, right? That we're checking that.
Yeah, I mean, like all the PRs are merged and the issues are closed. So yeah, it's yes.
Okay. Did we do this already?
No, this we have not.
Okay. So I guess we can put it under the top part of here. This part's pretty critical, which is like a valid. While initially we will just always show all options under all circumstances. Which is the issue for this, by the way? We should prepare the front end to make multiple get op values requests during update create flows for workspace. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay, so do we have an issue link for that one as well? Like, I know that we have that design.
Yeah. Just leave. I'll update this. Yes, I'll update this. I have a bunch of issues I need to include in there. So yep, I'll own that.
Okay, cool. Update workspace, other things. So this is pretty much ready. We'll do those soon. Okay, volumes are the only one we haven't finalized the stub design. So secrets, I think I really want to make sure that the UI gets a little bit better for this as well, because I think it's a little bit confusing right now. But
well, I think you probably haven't seen, and I haven't messed with either, right? There's a lot of changes that already went in as part of picking up the API. So it's like we want to just kind of revisit that. But the way it originally looked, it does not look like that now.
Okay, cool. Okay, anyone else got something here that is in the critical path for being able to use the main workspace features? No, I don't think logs are in there. Obviously, that's kind of why they're grayed out. I mean, it's important, but not critical path. You know, being able to create, update, and connect. Okay, Anyone got anything here? Okay. Istio. So I think we did most of this stuff. What was the part that was?
We just wanted to check on the SSH path next, but we haven't really started any work there, right? Like we just wanted to research a little bit about the scenarios overall in the community, and with new ideas, we wanted to see if we can design something and start working on that.
I guess this is also connected to making sure that the Istio deployment is in tilt, but I guess that's more of the a priority one. But yes, okay. I guess later priority, the activity probes and stuff probably would not be under here, but under their own section. Okay, is there any other things? So this is only here because if we don't do this, okay, there is like removing. Anyway, like I think this can probably be closed soon. We probably should put this as another issue. Like priority 3 is like investigation areas almost.
Right.
I don't know. Okay, so we've already done that. Oh wait. Yeah. I don't know if we've done this yet, but okay, cool. Next. Anyone else got anything? Let's these are just like designs that I keep copying and pasting in for features that will come in. Let's go through people's stand-ups. Anyone else got anything before then? Okay. Actually, my next meeting just canceled, by the way, Andy, so I can actually stay a little bit longer. Okay. Jenny or Polo, which one? Who wants to go first?
I can start as Paulo here. Oh, Paulo's for me. Yeah, go ahead, Paulo.
Okay, yeah, mine is quick. I just did some PR reviews in the community scope, and I'm still working on internal Red Hat tasks, so nothing much to report there.
So this mainly is what type of these are just front end things, I guess.
Yeah, those are front end for secrets mostly, and also community PRs from Alok that has been sent some PRs.
Okay, cool. And these are the secret ones we were just talking about, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is there any other things what are you planning to work on after that?
Well, until next meeting, I'm still doing some internal work. So after that, I'll see. I have to take a look at what's available at that moment. I become available. Still some work to do here. Yeah.
Cool. Anything blocking anything, I guess, other than time?
No, just time.
Cool. Okay, Jenny.
Hello, yep. So a bit of the same. So Alok has a few PRs for the front end related to some secrets follow-ups and just some more general UI fixes there. So reviewing those, and then those PRs have exposed some gaps in our theming. So I've been going in there and sort of proactively resolving those issues there with the styling to get merged, and then we can pull that back into Notebooks V2. Other than that, just continuing to do Notebooks V2 PR reviews, and not blocking the notebook side. There's some styling issues that are going to be coming in from the other side to pull in. So that's kind of the only blocker there, to just make sure that we're up to date there with the package that we're using for that. And then for the next 2 weeks, same. So continuing this work. Continuing PR reviews, and then also I think Andy and I have been talking a bit more about Dependabot, so we're kind of just doing some preliminary investigation there, and should have some more to report in the coming weeks about the results there, and that's it for me.
So who's going to be able to pick up this? We just need to have a warning thing in place just so that it's there when we cut this first alpha, I think. Like we need to put a warning banner somewhere on every single page effectively, right? Like maybe it's at the bottom, maybe it's at the just somewhere that it sits. I don't want it to mess the styling up of the page, but maybe we could make an announcement banner that initially is a warning banner. I don't know. Or what do you think it should be? That's, I guess, a question for you to think about. We just need to have a warning so that it's links to a place which shows information. We just need a place which say, this is not a released version of Notebooks 2.0. This is not a production system. Don't use it. For that, and click here to see the current state of the project, and then we just have a link to something. but if you have any ideas of how to do that in a way which is the least disruptive way possible, not to the user, but to the design of the front end, you know what I mean? Like, is it just injecting it at the root of the HTML, or, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've seen banners for this used in the past. Yeah, maybe just some kind of alert if the user just like opens it at like the first screen. But yeah, if that's a priority, we can certainly track that and make an issue for that. And
I think it
and
should
start.
be permanently on the screen, just so that when people take screenshots, that it's always there as well. But and of course, we need to have an ability to turn it off for ourselves so that we can take screenshots for documentation. But you know, it's like that's all I'm saying. Like that's very basic kind of thing. That is a priority in some sense. It's just since I'm not a pattern fly person or anyone like that, the front end people should figure it out. Is what's the easiest way we can make a permanent banner on the bottom which says yellow. It's yellow and it's kind of, you know, and then it can be turned off and on, but doesn't mess with the styling overall in some way. And just that's a pretty important feature. Anything else, Jenny, you're working on or blocked by other than? Do you know
Sounds
if
good.
you want to do that or just someone else?
Why don't I can make a note to just create an issue for that and track that, and then we can see and just discuss and get that prioritized if that sounds good to folks here.
Yep. Cool. Okay. Anything blocking you then? Nope. Okay. Cool. So, Andy.
We touched on a lot of stuff. V1, V2 reviews, getting things in. There's a couple community members that have, been responsive, which is awesome. So a lot of just kind of Slack DM messages with them to make sure they feel good about getting started, answering any questions they have. Not on critical path work right now, but I've appreciated the level of engagement from them. So that's cool. Logos and icons, like I said, kind of big things here is I'd love to get this PR merged or at least reviewed so then I can start to work on the actual like real implementation of secrets. Next week, hopefully we'll carve out space and time to start to get an idea on the volumes management API proposal based on how good we feel of that proposal after discussion, even if it's not finalized. Maybe I open up a stub PR just to give, we'll see how we feel about it. If it's not finalized, but we feel it's mostly locked in, getting a stub there again to unblock front end people on that top priority. In terms of next 2 weeks, I'm not sure if like Red Hat folks will be able to join the community call next Thursday. We're doing like a face-to-face, doing a lot of kind of internal planning on how we want to, take this through the year and get this in Red Hat product as well as a variety of other internal things. So I'll be in touch with you, Matthew, next week to, keep you up to date on availability. But yeah, I think like Thursday next week is our day long meet with PM and kind of figure out, top secret plans and, revenue and world domination, that kind of thing. But yeah, reviews, notebooks, V1, getting all these CVEs merged, absolute top priority. And then making sure we have full API stuff defined and supporting community members. I'd say those are the key things I'm looking at.
Cool. Okay. And so in terms of like the top priority, there's a lot of things there. So what's the main thing we're going to do when we have any time? You're going to do when you have any time?
Notebook. I mean, it's just unfortunate. We got to get over the hump here. So notebooks V1 reviews, at least making sure I have something reviewed for like our 3 controllers, right? So PVC, because I don't want to like approve multiple of them because as stuff merges, that could potentially lead to weird interactions. So, making sure we have stuff opened up for whatever PVC volumes and Jupyter, or sorry, notebook controller. That's priority 1.
Okay. And then for V2, I think there is still a priority around trying to get Istio and stuff, right? In the
Yeah, so
tilt.
there's a community member that's going to be looking at Istio and Tilt. Obviously, any PR reviews that come in is very, very important. I have, 2 PRs raised. Hopefully, we can start to review. So any feedback from that, I'll implement. But the thing that, like, what's next is this framework of E to E. And me and you did speak about this last week, so I know that I know what I need to do to make that PR like ready to be, merged. And so I'll look to find time, this weekend or early next week, to get those changes in. So we could, because that then leads it to, as people want to join the project, we can start to carve out, here's a flow we want you to implement in end-to-end tests, which is I think a good, low-hanging fruit thing and something we really, really need as well. So I think it's a win-win situation for, getting the product out and community and people that want to get involved.
Yeah, the ET tests having a requirement that people add that's important. Okay, I don't want to go too much over for people, so who's here who wants to go next and needs to leave soonest? So Hajad, Charles.
For me, like from my side, the updates are like we were designing the activity rules with Matthew, Eder, Andy, and Paulo. That's what is continuing. There were some more updates which were shared, so I'll be updating that shortly, and then probably once we have the decision, we can start with the implementation.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, this is really cool. This is the replacement for culling. It's very customizable. There was a few changes we realized we needed at the last minute, but it lets you do things like say certain namespaces don't get culled, or certain pod configs are more likely to get culled because they're more expensive. And it's pretty clever. I'm very interested to see what everyone thinks once the first kind of version gets put in. I guess, when are we planning to put this in? I guess that's the question. We're going to stub this in immediately, or?
I would like to, and again, we'll see, but I think it's like, Harshad, it's a good meaty PR to get his contributions in. So I'd like to, my vote would be, and we can talk about this more on Tuesday, but my vote would be look for, Harshad to get this in. Front end support, I think, is we need to decide on, but at least getting it in the back end, we should get. And then I think there's more important flows on front end. So I don't think we pivot front end people to build that. But getting it in the back end, I think, would be good sooner than later.
Yeah, that just link is broken. You might want to fix that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so it's a really cool feature. Also, I think it has a lot of similarities to the auth and compatibility selector thing that we talked about. So maybe we'll learn some stuff from there. But it's also quite complex in its own right because it has to actually probe notebooks and stuff. So, Hajad, have you got any kind of blockers there around anything?
Not really. Like I think I got a lot of new changes, so I'm just updating that. You said that the URL is not working, right? I'll check on that
Yeah,
too.
this link down here isn't.
I think it did open it in your new tab, right? No,
Oh, it did eventually open. That was
I
weird.
think there's something happening with GitHub right now, and I'm
That's
not
probably the
sure.
case. Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I'll
Let's.
update the new changes, and then we can discuss next
I don't want
time.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once it's updated, we'll go through it on a call and show people. It's very interesting, I think, and it's going to make Notebooks 2.0 very unique.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks. Yeah.
Thanks so much for your work there. Okay, Charles.
Yep, so I got those two issues for the secrets front end to merge last week. And as I was discussing before, I am working on the bug that I found this week, and was reviewing some designs, some initial design that we had last month for storage for volumes. So because I was out for half of the month, so just going through that and maybe leaving some comments. I think that we were discussing them on the community call, if I remember correctly, about volumes, initial designs. But yeah, just more to do on that. I will ask UX for any updates since then, but haven't seen anything. But I want to see like an initial design and see if we can plan some front end work for that. So just wrapping up secrets. I think there was another one that was handled or assigned to the community member. I think it was his name is Alok, right? And he was assigned to the edit secret. Not sure what's going on with that, but
Oh, yeah, do we
hopefully
have
see
stubs for
something.
edit, right? I'm trying to remember. We have stubs for edit.
We do have separate edit, but we will only allow edit for a secret that the user just created, if that makes sense. We don't allow the user to edit any secret that is like attached or created previously prior to the creation form.
Well,
So
eventually it'll be driven
eventually,
off
yeah.
of a label, but the backend isn't enforcing that right now.
Okay. Yep.
But you should just use the fact that does the stub just return can edit true on everything? No, it doesn't. I think it just works. Doesn't it just work?
Yeah, no, I think there's like we stubbed like 3 like hard-coded secrets, so you do get some permutations in can mount, can update, if I recall correctly. I tried to get like one of each, like false, true, true, false, true, true.
So yeah, just use those fields if you know what I mean, like for this. But also, I think there might be some confusion because there's no way to know what one was just created, right? So like well, obviously even in the future, right? So like, if you create a secret, you should and hope that the user just creates it correctly. We could also do it at the end of the flow as well. There's a debate that maybe we should do that. I don't know, right? Like, is it where should the secret be created? Should it, because otherwise we're sending updates for no reason if the user kind of iterates on it.
Well, I will sort. I don't think we're as far off as we need to be. I'll talk with Charles and we'll get aligned here.
Yeah, so right now I'm focusing mainly on the delete at the moment. So if the user wants to remove something I just created, they should be able to without going through a different form. And yeah, that's what I'm focusing on the moment. The edit one, I think, is handed off to a community member. So maybe we can discuss and post.
So I'm almost certain, thinking about it, that we should batch the updates to the end. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, maybe it just feels like something that makes sense, but I don't know. I like.
Yeah, I can talk with Andy a little bit on it, and then we'll see, because it's not assigned to me either, so
No.
kind of out of my control.
Cool. Anyway, just getting something working end to end is the first step, though. So whatever the minimum is, just so that I can create a workspace with a secret. That's the most important thing.
Yes. We technically, if the stuff is working, we should be able to do that. Like the whole flow should be there.
Cool.
Yep.
And we can work on UX for it later. Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
Any other things blocking you or things you're going to be working on next?
Nope, there's no blocker.
Okay. What have you got next?
As I mentioned before, just starting to look into volumes and see what the front end work for that looks like. Trying to take some inspiration from the secret stuff that we have been working on to see if we can reuse any of the components. But
there's definitely some additional complexity, and the reason why it took so long, it's going to take a little bit longer with the stub, is because there's some questions around how to reflect the schedulability constraints that are caused by the volumes, I think, is the primary reason. So it's more like
secrets are secrets. They are a thing. Volumes, even though we like lazily say the word volume, it is a wild collection of storage classes and persistent volumes and persistent volume claims that like make it a lot harder to simply present this to a user.
I think we did finalize one thing I just want to highlight, though, is that the thing that you as a front end think about are PVCs.
Yes.
But to create a PVC, sometimes it could be a bit complex. So we need to make a very good stub that accounts for every possibility. And that's kind of
Yeah, so right now just focusing on researching the complexity. I'm not jumping my gun and doing any work at the moment.
It might, and we can talk about this later, Charles, but I almost wonder if maybe if we're going to have you focus on something like the redirect flows might be more immediately valuable to figure out, while the I don't know.
Because the stub kind of will self-describe everything you need. I think in a similar way that the secret one helps people, you know what I mean? It's like the API, it's good for you to read about it, but it is kind of, I agree. I think something that you could do right now might be different. I mean, I'm not sure though. I'm not sure how progressed we are in our stub. So,
I'll talk with Charles about it, but yeah, like redirects might be better if we want to think about like getting front end stuff in versus volume, since I imagine it's going to be a week or two of back and forth on the proposal. But yeah, we can talk about that more.
Let's keep going. Okay, anyone else who hasn't gone yet? We're 8 minutes over. Sorry for that. Okay, if not, thanks everyone. If you have tasks or don't have tasks and you need help, reach out in the Kubeflow-Notebook Slack channel. It's always good. Thanks everyone. See you next week.